sadly, it looks like the half of the people are not already here. Anyhow, we are going to continue with the second part of the project presenting. And one small announcement. Again, I'm going back to the voting part and the votes. I don't know. It's not that I like voting, but we have to. If any one of you is not do not have this card where we are supposed to vote, on the next coffee break, so you'll have this short coffee break and go and get the card, because in the end of the day, there's a guy who will stay to the door and collecting the votes. So I don't know what's going to happen with the guys who don't have the votes, but okay, even earlier. So now we go with the presenting of the ideas, and the first one for this part is Georg Bolwitz and Joanna Oliveira. You have 7 minutes. Please. Okay, we have a German here. Is it working?
Yeah? Okay, hello everybody. We're Joanna and Georg from the Greater Europe Media Watch blog, a project that was inaugurated 3 months ago only in Paris during a project competition. So please bear with us if we don't have a massive list of sponsors yet. To say it in one sentence, we are a Media Watch blog, and we aim to critically analyze cross-European mainstream media output on the EU-Russia relationships, and to deconstruct and identify means of bias and propaganda, which is partisan reporting, partisan news. So to quickly guide us through what we're going to show you today in these 6 minutes, we're going to start with identifying the problem, which I already kind of told you, to tell you the solutions, the mechanisms we contrive to combat these problems, and in the end to give you a brief operational overview of how of how business actually will function. So we are living in turbulent times. We see that the groundbreaking achievements of decades of diplomatic, civic, and political cooperation between the EU and Russia are increasingly put at risk by the recent diplomatic crisis. And unfortunately, we perceive mainstream media to be a particular driver of this destructive dynamic. And so what we try is to actually address this media partisanship and to find strategies to kind of make media, operate in a better way.
Now I'll quickly try to explain how we decided to address this issue, and we believe that the problem is not that there's not enough information available, it's not the amount of information that's available, it's actually how the polarized information, the totally polarized information is working. And so newsreaders kind of get lost in how it works. And for this, we decided it would be better, instead of creating news articles and reports, to actually not add to the media noise and create a watch blog. And we will be looking, we started already, we will be looking into major mainstream European media outlets. Our country editors will be writing critical reviews on mainstream news articles on EU and Russia relations. And actually, the problem is we want to highlight factual inaccuracies and stylistic means of bias, and that's our main goal. But why should people look into our blog in order to find more objective information? So for this, to enable the greatest possible analytical precision and journalistic objectivity, we decided to design this transnational editing procedure. So it's a cross-national editing procedure where we have a country editor writing an English article. He's looking into a news article and he's writing a critical review on a specific news article. And then this, after it's written, it's randomly assigned to another country editor from another country. And we will be looking into factual accuracy. He will be looking into factual accuracy, into stylistic eloquence, And he will also be looking to tackle cultural subjectivity that exists all the time. So this 6I system that we have: first a country editor, and then we have The second one, for example, we would have a Russian editor then being reviewed by a Ukrainian one. And this system works, we're looking, our main purpose is to actually develop a dialectic discussion of events, facts, and ideas. And we want to provide you with the highest possible objectivity and empirical truth. That's our main goal.
So, and pursuing this objective, we want to actually also highlight regional and national differences in media partisanship. So what we have here, for example, is an article from a Russian outlet, Pravda.ru, which talks about the Russian military and its capacity in a global perspective, saying that Russian superiority lies rooted in the fundamentally stronger morale of its troops. And so I quote I quote what the newspaper writes here. In early 2014, a Su-34 simulated an attack on USS Vicksburg, which is a US Army ship. There was no electronic impact shown on the vessel, but the Americans failed to activate the air defense system. Over 20 Marines resigned as a result of the incident. This was quickly rebuked, after just one day, by Stop Fake, simply because the degree of factual inaccuracy was so blatant that it was rather simple to kind of refute these news. But let us now turn towards a German piece of news, treating the Russian incineration of contraband food under the recent sanction regimes. And in this article, the Spiegel author, Spiegel is a very influential German newspaper, says ISIS rebels and Somalian rebels, they too tend to burn food, like foreign food. And I quote, Putin too has arranged the destruction of food from the West by decree. The article goes on saying that this is actually a symptom of state failure and accuses Russia of barbarism. So why are we showing this? Why are we showing this to you? There are differences in the way the West and East, so to say, addresses media partisanship, addresses this problem, and there's different ways of complexity of ownership structures of the media that really transpose into a different way that we have to deal with this propaganda. So rather than focusing just on Russia, we think we need to focus on the entire European media landscape and to highlight the differences and the different dangers that emanate both from the western and the eastern part of propaganda. So yeah, our Kranti editors come from Portugal to Russia, to Ukraine, to Belarus, to actually cover the whole European media landscape. So now quickly to the operator stage of what we do. I will quickly talk about the financing, highlight our short operational goals, and then ending up on our long-term objectives. So what we have here is simply our financing structure. We have in phase 1 donations, crowdfunding, grants, Kickstarter, and banner advertisement, chronologically starting with Kickstarter, crowdfunding, and later evidently banner. In the second phase, our revenues will also include fundraising events and conferences, as well as syndication, so paid content, paywalls, and in-depth articles. And this is just quickly a financial slide for you to understand. In revenue, so far we project to have in year 1 30K, opposed to expenditures of about 40,000. The gap of 11,000 we are confident we can get from like-minded organizations. And this is also the reason why we're here, evidently.
Now, quickly, we will aim to create this multi-outreach strategy, and we will work with CEO, CM, and AdWords and AdSense, and Facebook and Twitter. And now, really, really quickly.
30 seconds.
Okay, then we want to outreach through several ways, through advertisement in university campuses and conferences. And this would be, we have to create a website, and we have to have the professional help of web developers and web designers. Quickly, it's really important that we create and develop a really strong readership that we'll be doing how we explained you. And in the beginning, we will have to work with volunteers. Then we will be aiming to pay around 20 euros per article to our country editors, and then by 2018 we aim to actually recruit country editors.
So just to sum up, so our goal is to contribute to the civic education and diplomatic education of the European populace, to fight for media freedom and to show what propaganda does, how it works, and how it actually, is detrimental to a greater Europe. Thanks.
Thank you, George and Olivera, Joanna. Now I call to the stage Ilya. Where is Ilya? Come on. Ilya, are you okay? Yeah. Okay.
First of all, of course, I want to thank all of Youth Time family to be part here. Yeah, is it working? Okay. So I'll put my timer for 7 minutes. So I start my
the mic
project.
closer.
Yeah, okay. I started my project like a few years ago. We started to think about making some really good influence for schools as mediations, and I start like try to in 7 minutes to explain what I want to say. When I talk about mediation with a lot of people, usually hear about meditation as a response. So actually, it's very different stuff. It's not meditation. It's nothing with oriental practices. It's way as alternative dispute resolution as a part of win-win technique to be successful in the conflict situations. So what is mediation actually is, it's one of the most reliable techniques to resolve conflict without court and without breaking the rules. So mediator is the third party in a conflict which is neutral and trying to make the process of bargaining and negotiations to be effective for each of the party being like involved in the conflict. So I'm not going to read all of these, but we have four main principles, like we call it four for mediation. This process is full confidential, voluntary, impartiality of mediator, and equality. So if there are going to be questions, I'm going to answer later because I have 5 minutes left. So benefit of mediation is because it can be applied to any kind of disputes. It's based on party interest, not according to law or something like that. The mutual agreement is reached by parties only because the mediator can be counselor or advisor in these situations. And as surveys shows, 95% of agreements are always carried out, and process is very flexible and tailored to every situation specifically. The main adventure of this, it's confidential. It's okay, I say, repeat it all the time, but it's very important for people to be confidential about this conflict. So we wanted to bring this technique to schools. According to Russian law, it has to be like every mediation room by 2017. And as background shows, they usually, like SPS triangle, how we call it in schools, it's conflict between school staff, parents, and students all together. Some is mixed, it's connected with other one. So usually in this triangle. So talking about next, current situation is like the teenagers are the most troublesome and radical group usually. A lack of skills of school staff in the area of conflict management and high risk of juvenile delinquency and the fear of the conflict itself make the situation is even worse every time. So as in the project, we were trying to make a peer-to-peer mediation where every student will be a mediator for other students. For example, even within teachers, as surveys shows that usually, of course, we think about mediation and negotiation, we think about really trained, skilled, probably like mature people, but surveys shows that it's even better to be a mediator between children if it's children inside. It's even better. It's easy to them to get agreement. It's easy to give up some thoughts, easier than for like adult. So easygoing steps for my project is like a form group of students and school staff for participation, later provide trainings and some courses for them, get examination of the students and who pass successfully, they begin conducting P2P mediation. So possible P2P mediation areas is like social media improprieties, relationship difficulties, harassments, rumor, gossips, cheating and stealing, racial and cultural confrontation, vandalism, classroom extracurricular disputes, bullying, minor assaults, and fighting. So I think in every school in the world we have these problems. In every class, in every grade, we face it. So the result we expect is we're going to decrease the violence, escalation of conflicts, and juvenile delinquency, and we hope to increase psychological climate, participants, schools involved, like index of effectiveness of conflict resolution, parents' participation and support, and to develop skills of conflict resolution as a children and school staff and parents all together. So it's like kind of SWOT analysis. So I'm gonna put some really phrases because I have 2.5 minutes left. The strength is because we have really qualified project implementators, skilled people who had years, more than 20 years in negotiation and conflict management around the world. So one of the biggest weakness is the system of schools itself in Russia. Probably it depends on each country, but there's a strong system which don't want anybody to be inside the system between those who are in there for a long time. Opportunities, as I said before, it will be really great skills to be taught for children that they can use in everyday life after they finish school, in work, for career, and after. Threats, of course, it's distrust and resistance from teachers, parents, and students, and people usually, they don't know the word of conflict, they fear of it, they can't say it, conflict. So it's the main threat we have. So actually we have already experience by making such kind of project. At my university, we organized a clinic of conflict consultant and mediation, which was founded 5 years ago. It's a non-profit university-based women specialist organization. It provides free of charge consultations and mediation for all real clients. Real clients come to us, but we do it for free because we have a mediation consultant who is already a skilled professional. We have a co-mediator and co-consultant who has skills, but not really a huge, 1 minute, okay. He has a huge experience, and 2 observers. So if there's going to be any questions, I'm going to answer later. And for 5 years, we have already 300 cases each year, team of 20 experienced specialists, 15 co-mediators, consultants, and observers, have a really good feedback from clients. And total budget for running this project in school is 30,000 euros, but of course it's flexible. It depends on which results we want to get, like for one school or for another one. So I actually want to say thank you for your attention because I'm trying to be in time. Yeah, Marie? It's great. So thank you very much. I'm going to be ready to answer any questions. If there are any questions or any suggestions, just email me. I'm going to answer as soon as possible. So thank you very much for your attention. Yeah? In time. Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Ilya. And the next one is, sorry for not pronouncing right the name, is Shenya Nopane from Nepal. Is she here? Okay, floor is yours.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Sweksha Nopane, representing Nepal. And topic of my project presentation is Basic Training on Health for Female Community Leaders on Child Health Care. Can somebody help me? I would like to begin with my presentation. This is a world map showing Nepal, a small country in the South Asia. Women in Nepal, a developing country, are often denied opportunities for education. According to the statistics of 2011, literacy rate of Nepal is 65.9%, female literacy rate being 57%, and that of male being 75%. According to the Constitution of Nepal, that is recent one, 2015, Part 3, Article 31, every citizen shall have the right to access to basic education. However, the condition of women is lagging far behind, and they must be provided with opportunities in order to maintain peace and security in the nation. It is said, if a woman is educated and empowered, the entire family and society will be developed. Regarding problem description, I would like to tell you briefly that Nepal, being a developing country, has under 5 mortality rate of 54 per 1,000 live birth. However, progress so far suggests that its child health related MDG is achievable. I would like to share an experience with you all of massive earthquake that hit Nepal in April 2015. I've been a part of a health camp that was organized in Kokhana and Bugmati, the 2 areas which were affected maximum after the devastating earthquake. Health condition of the children is really critical here, and there's only one health post in the entire village, that too with limited facilities. This is a child who is being guided by parents through the destroyed area of Kokhana. This is in fact strong souls who have survived 7.8 Richter scale and are still moving strong. However, there's gap between haves and haves not in Nepal is very wide, and healthcare facilities are available but not accessible to all. Let me go into my project presentation. It is actually related to educating female leaders regarding child health care so that they can live on their own in the future and become entrepreneurs in the future. So my focus will be on these causes: diarrhea, malnutrition, malaria, pneumonia, preterm birth conditions. Important governmental organizations or partners are Ministry of Health and Population, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Women, Children and Social Welfare, UNICEF, NGOs and INGOs, World Health Organization, and Development Vision of Nepal. Objectives, since I'm a medical doctor, objectives of my project is oriented socially in the aspect of health. So main would be to train female leaders to identify signs of pneumonia, to encourage use of oral rehydration solution in children suffering from diarrhea, and provide supplements to the participants in Kokhana and Bugmati. These are the areas which are quite near to the capital city, Kathmandu Valley. Training on provision of adequate nutrition for child's health and weight, and awareness on prevention of malaria and birth-related complications. These are the objectives in brief. I would also tell them about the importance of nutrition and signs and symptoms of malaria and how they can prevent it. Thus, I believe healthy and happy children are future of the nation. Activities would include, I will firstly arrange meeting. In fact, I've already talked informally with the municipality and health post during my visit during earthquake time. And then I'll have the management committee. Now I'll have the management committee that the three of us, health post, municipality, and me along with the group of young doctors. Then I'll conduct a baseline survey to select interested women, which would probably be in January. Then conduct training with the help of health post. I'll have practical sessions, including videos, demonstration, two-way interaction with the young female leaders, have refresher course and training of trainers, follow up with the training programs in future in order to evaluate the progress of the program. Then I'll have monitoring visits by municipality and health post, share program and disseminate it. And if it becomes successful, I would try to replicate the project in other parts of Nepal as well. Concluded by report writing. SWOT analysis of the project. This is a smart project since it contributes to the Millennium Development Goal 4 and Sustainable Development Goal 3. There can be some weakness if the community leaders do not use the supplements in spite of proper provision because of lack of communication, but I'll have to work on that. Opportunities, it can be replicated in other parts of the remote areas of the country as well. And threats could be lack of coordination or cooperation from communities. Possible partners once again. Expected outcome would be better healthcare facilities for children, reduced number of children with complications of pneumonia, aware female community leaders, empowered and educated females eventually. Thus, in a nutshell, my project aims basically on educating young female leaders by mobilizing young, fresh doctors like me in order to improve or at least contribute to some extent in child health care. Thank you.
Thank you. We invite now here to sit in front of us the two other presenters, and we give the word to our dearest experts to continue with the questions. And yes, who wants to start the first?
Hi, everyone. So, listen, thanks again for great presentations. Just really enjoyable, you know, to hear these ideas you've got sort of come into fruition and listen to you talking through and coming up here to share them with us. And you did really well, actually. Really, really interesting and very diverse, you know. I'm just going to get straight to the point, leave each of you with just a question from me, just the main thing that came up. Starting with Joanna and George, I've got just two things really. One was just a small thing. I was wondering why one of your kind of metrics was looking at stylistic elegance. If you're looking for bias, that was just a curiosity. You know, you mentioned that you were going to several things you were going to look at. One of them was stylistic elegance. I was wondering why that was included. But slightly more importantly is in terms of fact checking. I'm just wondering what kind of mechanisms are in place for who is watching the watchers, so to speak, you know, because to avoid getting into the game of kind of claim and counterclaim, which we see in the kind of comments fields, you know, below articles in the mainstream media about this particular issue, there's very heated debates in the comments and it tends to go into claim and counterclaim. So what mechanisms you have in place for actually making sure that those sources of information are correct. And to ask Ilya, I didn't quite catch there was something, a development in the law about conflict resolution being in place in schools. There was some kind of new legal development which gives, you know, a bit more of an impetus to your, you know, just tell us what the law is and where exactly that's in effect. And for Swetcha, I'd just like to ask you, because in terms of training the trainers, do you expect to encounter any kind of resistance? It's always it's a very delicate situation and emotions are running high, people are very fragile. I don't really know very much about society there. Do you expect to encounter any kind of you know, resistance to these ideas and how will that influence the way in which you train the trainers?
Regarding, maybe I didn't pronounce it well, but I meant stylistic eloquence, not elegancy, eloquence. So since many of our country editors will not be native English, we have to have someone not fact-checking, but checking the actual stylistic, the good quality of the English, the eloquence of the English that is written.
Yeah, so that's really because we have country editors from all kinds of countries that we consider experts in the national media environments, but who have to critically analyze, you know, their native language in a different language. This is why we don't only have 2 instances of correction, but the third one with a chief editor who should be a native speaker or approximating that. And to your second question, which is really, I think, pivotal for such a project, to safeguard for objectivity and for our sources. On the one hand, we have a very, very profound scrutiny of whom we actually accept as country editors. So far, we have 12 country editors spanning 10 countries. And all of these have to have a background, like a master background in economics, sociology, politics, or history. And together with us actually also go through the scientific, through the contextual details of the current conflict as well as concerning the Ukraine and Russia crisis, actually also into history. And I mean, to be fully able to contextualize the current crisis, the media situation. On the other hand, the 6I procedure, evidently objectivity will always be, you know, an illusion. Full objectivity, full empiricism is not possible, but through this approximation, through a dialectical juxtaposition of different views, different cultures, on a common denominator of high, you know, of profound knowledge, we think we can approximate this to a far greater degree than conventional media.
Thank you for the question, sir. First, let me tell you that the condition right now is very pathetic in Nepal, especially when it comes to the matter of health, as it's being neglected. And the deprived groups are women and children. So I think people in those areas would love to have us working for them and would like to have us there. So I don't think there will be any resistance. And in fact, they are mostly welcoming us. We have already talked to the health post and known about the levels there, materials required. It's very poor, and I think they would love to welcome us as well. Thank you.
Is it working? Yeah, finally. Thank you, Ms. Thompson, for your question. I'm going to give you some legal background on this topic. Actually, there's a mediation law in Russia. It was signed in 2010. It's been working in Russia for 4 years, for 5 years already. And last year, I think it was last year, there's a new mediation law. It's about mediation schools. So every school has to have a mediation room, but obligatory. But due to some specifics of Russia, of course, it's sometimes they just cite papers that they did it, and school psychologists trying to do mediation, but they probably took online courses for like 5 minutes, printed certificate, and they trying to make it, and sometimes it's even worse than doing nothing, because they do it sometimes not in that way that it resolves conflict. It usually creates conflicts, even more. And actually, this project is about, because we had some presentation in schools already. They host at some public schools, they have money, not all of them, some. And they're ready to pay for this kind of consultancy. But they need the first steps to see what we got. So this budget that I had over on the screen, it's really short one, but we wanted to create some books because we have really good experts, really talented one, skilled one. Some of them worked in USA for a long time, some of them worked in Brussels for a long time, in UK for a long time, so I have a really huge background on this. To make short films, short videos, supporting websites, so it's really a long way. Actually, we had one conference already about school mediations, and we see that even school principals and school staff, of course, not of them, some, they really interested in it, they want it. But of course there is competition between different organizations, but I'm not it will be not shy to say, but actually our experts are one of the best in Russia, because they've been doing this like from the very beginning, from more than 20 years. So if I answer your question, so yeah, thank you.
Professor?
So I would like to say one comment on everyone. First one, creating a blog and becoming a media, the difference is able to spot and create a board of advisors. So I encourage you to do that, to have a very solid editorial group of advisors that you have to have in there. If not, you are just a little blog, okay? The minute you have a group of advisors selected, main journalists, a journal, some tax advisor, relevant people that are always guiding towards the future. I suggest that have a thought on that. That would be my first idea. To our doctor in Nepal. I think that you, since you have a medical experience, you focus your project very much into medical. I would why don't you encourage also mixing empowering women through creating wealth? So why don't you empower women whilst you cure them and you take care of that? Why don't you empower them by, for instance, making these groups visit companies, visit institutions, be next to people like you that have this presence magic that you had when you came to the audience. Congratulations by that. This also empowers women. So do that. Mix medical and empowering, because it's needed.
May I, sir?
So I would like this. And then for Ilya, first of all, congratulations for being so critical with your country, because this is the way to be patriotic. The other way is stupidity. So it's critic, and this is when you show love for your country. So congratulations for that. My advice to you is, when you make the SWOT analysis and you put the O of opportunities of conciliation, I think that there is also an opportunity of conciliation with other universities. there is a need that the universities cooperate among themselves. So it's a need that a philosopher gets also training on business, and a businessman gets training on philosophy. That's also a conciliation, not only for people, but also conciliation in universities, that they don't fight against each other. No? So that it's my remarks.
Could I just quickly ask you? Thank you for your comments, and you suggested us to gain a group of counselors. Would they be financial counselors, communication strategy counselors? I didn't really understand your question. Could you please be more specific? Thank you.
Maybe we should discuss that outside if you want, and to give you more details. Actually, I belong to a group of those. In a media group, I am in the advisory editorial group. So I would tell you what's the story, how they create it. But, and that I think it plays an important role. You leave the world of blogs to the world of prestigious press. So when you can claim that you have a group of advisors there, that they guide you. So I will get more into the details if you want in private, okay, no? Because if not, people will get bored.
Julia?
Petra.
Oh, Petra.
Is it working? Yeah. Well, first of all, I would like to say that all of your projects are inspiring, and thank you for interest to coming here. And I have a question for Sveshia. Yeah, maybe I didn't understood, or you already said, but I would like to know, what about the possible partners for your projects? And you didn't mention the budget, like, what do you expect?
Possible partners would be Ministry of Health and Education. I've already talked to them, and since I'm working as a part-time in NGOs like Development Vision of Nepal, and I'm also an active member of Rotract of Kathmandu Medical College. It's a hospital where I've been working. We've organized various camps with nominal amount, taking nominal amount from people in the past as well, and I expect from them as well. So we don't have any problem regarding fund, as government is really enthusiastic to use the funds that have been received by the country during the massive earthquake. But the thing is that they do not have the ideas where to put those funds in. So I think with this project, I would like to do something for them, as I have full support from government, the hospital where I work, and from NGOs like Development Vision of Nepal. I've been working actively in this organization, which organizes various health camps, blood donation camps in remote parts of Nepal. Thank you.
More question? Julia?
So I have a question to Olivera and Georg, or George. Just the first one, why you focus on the Russian and Ukraine? And is there any places where is it, some kind of problems or conflicts? And this is the first one. And the second, how international your project have to be, or you're planning to make? And also the question to Ilya. First of all, who have to give you the permission to come to the schools if it's going to be the government institutes? Who? So this is also takes some time. That's not so easy to come to the school, like regular school, and start to realize some program. All programs going through the Ministry of Education. So this is the case which you have to think. And for our last presenter, for our doctor, the idea very great. And I think that you need to find more people from your youth society who will help you there. Because just be alone, this is nothing. You need to make some team who will help you with this idea, to spread this great idea. So, please.
Okay, to answer your first question, why EU, Russia, Ukraine? There's a variety of reasons for this. So first, this is a project of passion, and growing up in Germany, I'm very much aware of the achievements that have been done over the first 2 decades after the Soviet Union collapsed between Western Europe and Russia in terms of diplomacy and so on. And I think this is one of the pivotal crises that our continent sees at the moment. So this is important. This is important. On the other hand, there is little other topics or issues that can so well show how the media operates in partisanship. This is, on the one hand, we see the re-emergence of discourses that have been very much contemporary during the Cold War, both on the Western and Eastern side, and we see things at the moment that wouldn't have been thinkable in terms of quality of journalism and factual inaccuracy only 5 years ago. So apart from the migration crisis that we see at the moment, which fuels different kinds of propaganda, but not on the same state-to-state, bilateral or multilateral diplomatic spheres, there is no issue of such relevance, topicality, and also kind of a heuristic to show people what's going on and how the media ownership differs in the eastern and western part. And thirdly, there's also, so to say, we also looked at our target audience. Currently I live in Belgium, before that in France and Germany and the UK, and all over the past 4 years. And what I see is there's a demand for this. A lot of people say the media is corrupt, so to say the media is propagandistic, particularly so with regards to... And it's true, yeah, evidently. There's always examples of good journalism. We want to focus on, mainstream partisanship, which is definitely an empirical truth. And so we also see there's a demand for it. There's a like-minded blogspot in Germany that focuses roughly on this eastern dimension, but not as specific as us. And it has a readership of 150,000 readers per month in terms of views per month. So there is a demand for that. And yeah. Voilà.
Ilya?
Can
I guess we give the word a bit to Ilya so he can answer the question.
Can I quickly answer just the last question?
Yeah. Okay. But as long as you were from the same project, so we were trying to divide time, like being
Okay. I try to be fast as I can.
short. Ilya.
Short.
Yeah.
And productive.
Yeah.
So the point is that we actually have nothing in common with Ministry of Education about this project. Of course, there will be some legal issues of creating these rooms for mediations in school. As I said before, mostly all of the schools already signed the papers that, okay, we have this one. Yeah, like for other people, we have so, but actually I have nothing there. So we face two problems, 2 ways actually how to develop. One way, it could be a business with income, a profit, and another one is going to be a volunteering program. And the third way, of course, combine these two, because we already had one conference of teachers and school staff, administrators, and we had around 10 presentations in school showing what we can do. And mostly 95% of people were interested in it, and they were ready on the level of principals and higher administrative staff in schools. So it's a question of money. Who's going to pay for this? So that's the point. Of course, some public schools have sponsors, but some, and they're ready to pay for this. But it's not often happens. So, have I answered your question or any? Okay. So, thank you. And
Now we get back to the audience. Or did it? Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Your question was regarding possible partners, I guess, ma'am?
Not possible partners, like possible team.
Possible team. Well, I feel very glad to tell you all that we have active group of doctors, young doctors of about 25 to 30, where we have been actively organizing health camps. Without any personal motives, we have conducted various camps during the earthquake time and before that also, and organized conferences. I'm also a member of UNISAN, United Nations of Youth Association in Nepal, especially for medical students. We have been organizing via this organization as well, and we have been funded in the past as well and expect to be funded in the future as well by them as well. Thank you.
Questions from the audience?
I think all the three presentations were excellent. Yeah, I always keep short. The first question is to Elia. I was very much interested because something like this has been launched in Nepal as well with the name Kid Proof. They especially focus with kids' safety and security and so on. So I'd like to know if you are doing it only in school or your intervention is something different, whether in schools only or is it different? And the other one is like, I didn't get Swiksha's budget, like clear picture of the budget. So could you please mention a bit? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question. So going back to the first question you asked, as it before we had experience, for almost 5 years we have this clinic working already, and we deal with any kind of conflicts. Actually, due to statistics, usually family conflicts due to parental conflicts, divorcing or something. Of course, we have also in business, because the technique itself, as mediation, is so universal and flexible to any situation. If you know the rules, if you know the procedure, if you know how to do it, you just like change the field, because as a mediator, we cannot advise something. So that's why if we do business mediation, we don't have to know about business a lot. For example, like in schools as well, you don't have to be a teacher to face the mediation itself. And did I answer the first question? Yeah. And the second one about the budget. Now
The budget is for
it
Yeshenia,
wasn't
yes.
for me. Okay. No, I'm sorry, because that was me. Okay.
Thank you for the question. The total budget of my project is $10,000 as the most of the expenses would be on comprehensive training that would be conducted for female leaders, which include video demonstration and making them awareness programs and distribution of supplements, purchasing materials, and travel cost would be $1,000 as these two areas, Kokhana and Bugmati, are nearby the Kathmandu Valley, the capital city. However, these other areas very difficult to reach. So we cannot reach there in one day. We need to walk for about 2 to 3 days. So it's very hard to reach areas. And travel costs include about $1,000, followed by monitoring and evaluation. As most of the cost is for comprehensive training. So total budget would be $10,000. Thank you.
Thank you. Another question?
Hi, my question is to Joanna and George. Two simple questions. Firstly, what kind of media do you intend to focus on? Print, TV, websites, blogs? And secondly, I understand that you said, complete objectivity is not possible, but I'm interested to know how have you recruited your editors and what's the policy and in terms of objectivity and trying to see what kind of news that they and their analysis.
So, sorry, I was trying to remember your name. I'm sorry. So, basically, we will be looking into written articles from, for example, Der Spiegel in Germany, or The Guardian, or Politico, that is EU-based, in Brussels, for example. We'll be looking into those written articles where we can actually find it's easier and more interesting to find where the propaganda is lying, even if it's less obvious than sometimes on TV, but we can actually analyze it and see where the arguments really lie. So yeah, that's basically what we will do. It's written media.
Yeah, to answer your second question, so we do have quite a sophisticated recruitment procedure, which on the one hand is simply a CV screening, looking if people actually have the qualifications, evidently the interest and the passion. And secondly, they send us template critical reviews. As I said, evidently, for example, I'm quite well read on the area, but still, evidently, I hold my innate ideological views on things. So beyond the competency and beyond the education, the only mechanism that exists for something like this is really peer reviewing. And this is what we do, like in a 3-step procedure for really maximizing it's kind of, you know, the synergetic effect of our you know, entire team.
Done. Okay, we have the last question. Is from what was it? From Chiara.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello. Thank you very much for the presentation. I'm very interested in the media project and the health training project for personal reason. I just have a couple of questions for you then. The first one is for Svecha about the sustainability of the project. Do you think it's sustainable, or because I was thinking maybe you should run a governmental project, like a program funded by the state, rather than create a business, or maybe to set up an NGO. And for George and Joanna, I was wondering, do you think it's, because the review process for the articles would need to go from, I think, like 2 editors, if I'm correct, 3 editors. I think it will take quite a long time in terms of reviewing them. Do you think the news, the article will be still relevant after such a time? And then how many countries and articles are you expecting to review? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Regarding the sustainability of my project, I'm very positive about it. Though initially we are going to start it as an educational project, I believe that local women in the rural areas that I mentioned earlier, that is Kokana and Bugmati, would be able to live on their own in the future. I believe that educating these 2 women with resources that I have and my team is collecting right now, they will be able to benefit for their children, family, and community in the long run. And later on, they can train or educate the people around them. So I think it's sustainable. And regarding funds, I believe that I would be conducting health camps and various other projects with nominal cost in order to make the project more sustainable and efficient. Thank you.
Okay, to answer your first question, we have a time frame of 48 hours post article, like original article publication, to our critical review. This means we count about 5 hours for the actual editor to write this, and about 30 hours for the coordination between chief editor and second editor. So 48 hours evidently isn't, high topicality in our rapid media environment, but this is simply what we need for really fact-checking, for stylistical accuracy. And I mean, really to be on the spot, this is not what we do here. We do a review, so 48 hours, we thought it's kind of the middle ground that's acceptable. And in terms of density of publications, at the moment we aim at no more than 1 article per day, 1 critical review per day, because we only have 12, with soon going to be 14 country editors. But as this increases, we're recruiting at the moment, we're going to go up to 3-4 articles per day. And, changing countries, changing stories, but always with this EU-Russia focus.
Excuse me, if I may, just short question. May I?
Yes, sure.
Thank you. This is also to George and Olivera. Where are you going to find the facts, to make some critical review of those articles?
We check them online. There are, for example, Politico, this newspaper that is it's based in Brussels. It was a news article about the way Russia was actually investing in atomic nuclear energy, and it was stating that Russia was investing massively, way more than the United States. And then we have to fact check that we go on Google, we go on several blogs, and since from the moment on we find that this fact is not the same in several articles, we actually then we can conclude immediately or not that this is not true, because statistical data and other kinds of documents, and then we can conclude this that is mentioned as a fact, that Russia is investing way more now in atomic and nuclear energy than the United States for the last 5 to 10 years. And then we check on data and statistical data and other portals. And if we have more than, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 portals that are saying exactly the opposite as, for example, Politico was stating, then we can conclude that Politico, this journalist that actually wrote the news piece, is propagating against Russia, for example. I don't know.
Really just 10 seconds. Evidently there's a lot of statistical data as well that is in itself already, prefabricated. So we have, databases like Google Scholar and so on for historical facts, but if we look into the, into the Malaysian plane crash, for example, where data is actually really scarce, we obviously have to keep ourselves back. Like, we don't want to add anything that is not 100% empirically verifiable. So we really just tackle factual inaccuracies that are blatant and that are definitely, that we can actually prove or find reliable sources for them being wrong.
Thank you. We come back again once to our experts, giving the final remarks and feedback for all of you.
For you, just be careful with the facts. And for you guys, amazing ideas, and hopefully, if even not in this event, but somewhere else, you also can find some, support. Maybe some also people can be involved in your activities. Just share and believe yourself.
Well, Julia said pretty much everything in general. I don't know. All of your projects are respectful projects, are very good, each in every own way. And I wish you luck. You gave your best to show us and to present us your work. And we will see. I wish you all luck. But stay positive and don't lose your hope if some of you are not successful in this event, then try more. Yeah. Thank you.
Mr. Thompson.
It's just a general comment that touches on everybody, because I think these are three really solid ideas, well thought out, convincing, and it's a good sign that we don't actually have a lot of more questions. You've been quite comprehensively dealt with them. I'm just thinking about kind of instead of sort of reinventing the wheel in some cases, about to what extent, I'm wondering to what extent you've seen, similar projects which you can link up with around the world. And I'm thinking about, for example, with Sweatshed, this is a model that we've seen in working pretty well in different places. I'm a firm believer in training the trainers, to reach a greater number of people. It's net impact socially, and it's very, very powerful, There might be a way, as a suggestion, to simply get more exposure by linking up with a network of people that are similarly minded with similar projects and pooling knowledge. You don't have to do all yourself. There's a lot of resources out there as well, and you can share the exposure and find synergies that way, on a global level. And likewise with Joanna and George, I feel pretty strongly about this as well. Being Scottish and kind of seeing during the referendum campaign how they kind of, even this apparently impartial BBC was almost blatantly partisan of several articles. It really, and what I found was that there is a great need for this, and I think that we've finally got a chance to call media to account a little bit. And I wonder as well if, to what extent that you guys can be part of a wider movement, to create impetus behind this, to actually draw attention on a global level, so that there is something, because it's not just the Russia-Ukraine situation. There's several comparable situations around the world, in emotionally charged situations where partisan writing arises, and again, whether you can reach out and connect with other organizations to have more strength together, because it's an important message. And likewise with Ilya, I think this is a great idea. It really is, in terms of mediation. I wonder as well about, a lot of the things that are happening in the United Nations, not just with conciliation, but with reconciliation, and very, very powerful processes of mediation that are taking place as well. and whether or not that there is some kind of wider group that you could reach out to as well. It's just my way of thinking, you know, that there's a lot of similar projects out in the world and we're stronger together and we have the platforms to do it. So it's just a comment. But thanks so much for everything you've said today.
Well, since we get the second chance of advice, one more, okay, to you. Getting to the facts and becoming objective, this is an illusion. So it's an illusion. Because the facts of the Malayan airplanes depends who you ask, and then they get completely different and very convincing. So you know that better than me. So here is the advisory board I was telling you, okay? So you will be impartial accordingly to a team of people respectful that will meet with the editors once in a while, and the editors would know that this is what we believe. We are pro objectivity, but and then it's also speeding the problem that they mentioned here, because the editors, they don't need to be re-edited so many times. They are fired. That's what they are if they don't do it right. Okay. So, and then the board is the one that is like more in touch with them once a while, twice a year, something like that. So this is the economist opinion. And then you write, and that's the idea, to be impartial. Impossible to be impartial, you will be criticized, and that would be the thing. Round for our doctor. I'm sure that you are aware of helps, for instance, from Europe Aid. And so Europe Aid, like the health organization, they continuously publish empowering women. This is a main issue in Europe Aid. So empowering, now I saw yesterday actually, an empowering women project in Lebanon. So it would be similar to that. So the thing is to keep an eye continuously, systematically. Getting your favorites in Google, favorites, Europe Aid, health organization, and then in the morning before coffee you check if there is a project. Then this is easy. Spot projects is very easy. What is difficult is to win them. This is, so you need also to establish a technique. Whilst you take care of doctors, make sure that you have somebody bright that is checking continuously. Not the project easy, because they offer alarm systems, so they send you a WhatsApp, an email telling that there is a project. But winning them, it takes it's a heavy-duty thing. But you should get there. Of course, ONG, they ask here. Yes, definitely, normally these projects, they are non-profit organizations. So you have to create a non-profit organization. It doesn't mean that you don't make money. It means that the organization doesn't make money. But the people working for the NOGs, they all make money. So this is something I would establish as a system. If you really want to continue, do that. Start having alarm systems for projects from health organizations, etc., because empowering women is definitely one of those that is on and on. And for Ilya, my comment also online what I said before, I think that society has a certain also conflict that needs conciliation. I mean, if you ask somebody, what society do when you are an archaeologist? Oh, you only can be teacher. What about if you are a painter? Oh, you only can be teacher. You are not going to make your living. So we also have to conciliate society. So advertising society towards accepting all these professions as willing to be job creation, and that is also a needed thing that can be added in your conciliation system. So this is my 3 comments I would like to make.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you from you presenters as well. We are done with this part, so you can leave. Please, don't get me wrong, and I'm not willing to be real pain for the voting thing, but now I will really explain what is this all about. And also, because now I don't have the time pressure, we are done with the presentations, so there is no more that sort of stress. I'll start with my experience, and why then, in the end, going to the massive like importance of your contribution today, that with these votes you are going to like shortly select the 5 best ideas on the group of the ideas that then later will be awarded. So this is a new thing, like the voting, and that we are doing for the first time. And I don't know, I mean, I want to make a question for every one of you. Do you have like any other experience that in any other event, like the general participants or the whole people are part of the valuation? Like always you have a group of experts who are selecting the winners, but mostly like people who participate, they have a role, but not this kind of role, like which is really important. And so for the voting thing, for the technical part, repeating again and again, you have to make these votes, and if some one of you lost these other cards for the voting, here we have Rans. Yes, Rans have printed some extra ones, and for this coffee break, you are going to vote for the idea that you like the most, and try to be like really honest with the voting thing, because I mean last year in the Lost Roads Forum I was part again of the organizing, and but not like directly, let's say, giving the contribution to value the ideas, but still like I enjoy a lot and I'm happy like when I see the guys who are implementing the projects, and in one way or another I was like part of their route until they reach the spot when they are now. So like I'm sure that each and every one of you will have the same experience. Like when you see the day after tomorrow or after a few weeks what these guys who were awarded are doing, like is this satisfaction that with just like a small contribution that you did and you gave the chance like the person to realize the idea, their dream idea. So now we can go for a coffee break. Take care for the votes. We come back at 4, in fact 5 minutes to 4, and from 4 we have a working session. I'm not going to tell like any detail what will be on that session, but as far as I know it's going to be really interesting. We have a guest, yes, and please be in time, please. Few more hours or more than 1 hour left, and then we go to the dinner, and then comes the fun time. Like, thank you.
Excuse me.
You can vote just for one idea, one thing. The other thing, you cannot vote for yourself because we have your name on that card. So just remind like these two details. I know it's becoming a mess here, but there are some people. I hope I don't need it. I hope.
Okay, I have to. I can do this. Press. Where is it? Mute mode. Yes. It's now.
And then
Yeah, no.
And they, like most of them, they already hate me.
You want me to go from the stage and come back, or doesn't matter?
Isabella. Okay, Miss Isabella. Because
Miss Isabella.
the surname is not easy to pronounce. You are also joining or not?
No, I'm not gonna be upstairs.
Okay, great. I don't know.
Si no te ponen luz, no te verás. Y
Hello, hello, and hello. Hello. Can we sit? Can you sit? Adi. Can you sort this jingle? At least they know what's happening. Hello once again, and I promise this is going to be the last time that you are seeing me here. Now we have this presentation working session that I mentioned a couple of minutes ago from Miss Isabella, which is coming from the IES Consulting, one of the partners of this global forum. And what she's going to present us in front of us, it's their work that they do, like from the recruiter's point of view. Yes, I'm reading it there. Like their work mostly is focused on the internships, like creating or helping people to be the stars on the interview, like job interviews and stuff like that. And I guess every one of you like needs some insight how these things are happening here in Barcelona. So now I'm giving the floor to Miss Isabella.
Yes.
And
Is it working?
sorry, just few like details. Don't forget to get the certificates out there in the lobby. And the second thing is, please be at 6:30 in front of the hotel when we are leaving for the gala dinner. 6:30. Don't forget, like, bus is leaving on 6:30, and who is late, he can join us or she can join us, but
If you're too late, you have to take a taxi.
yeah.
6:30 we're leaving.
Thank you.
Okay. Is it working? See? No. Yes, can you hear me? Oh, perfect. Okay, so welcome all.
as you already saw, I'm Isabella from IS Consulting. I'm a selection department manager, so here, like at the end of this event, I know that there were like 2 days of talking about the very important things that actually IS Consulting and me personally we're working in, which is connecting education students and the companies. And I wanted to do this presentation a bit more light, I would say, and a bit also ironic from recruiters' point of view. I suppose that, well, most of you might have some experience in the internships, some of you maybe not. Some of you, well, might know a lot, but I would like to point some important things in CV, in the interviews, and also I wanted to tell you how to use the experience like internships, okay? So I hope it will be interesting for you. Before I start, I wanted to add only one thing about what you are discussing during this event, because yesterday the entry speech was like very inspiring about the statistics, about the problem, and also I've heard about your presentations. From my point of view, I just wanted to add, well, one thing about the universities, which I think were a bit missed regarding to the youth unemployment, because that's also part of my job, to work with universities. And for me, it's not about only about the value that what they are teaching you during the internship, during the education program, but it's also about where it starts from the career offices and international offices, because for me, those units, and I'm working with them personally, I think that they are not well prepared, and the factory of young talents, which universities are, I consider that everything starts from career office, which should guide you, which should be your personal coach and be your connection with the entrepreneur world. Okay, so for me that's the thing that should be mentioned. And another thing also about the universities and about the system, which I saw by recruiting people, is the bureaucracy, which unfortunately wasn't mentioned. There was one very important, very interesting point from Mr. Vladimir about the problem of that the highest unemployment is in Portugal and in Italy for high educated students, which seems a bit weird. And I know the solution why, actually directly, because we work with those universities, and I know that like to get the internship and to sign up the simple internship agreement, which is actually, internship is the first step in your career, the universities make problems about this. So these are 2 points for me that should be also considered while like making the reforms and well, working with the unemployment with youth. But that's just small digression at the beginning already. To start, I wanted to tell you something more about, well, the first step, which is of course CV. Me personally, I'm also like, I'm young as you can hopefully see. But I became a young leader in the age of 24. And well, I had quite hard point like to get out from my country as well. I'm from Poland. And well, I didn't have a lot of experience. I spoke only or not only, but English, okay? So I didn't have Spanish or French to go to another country. So I knew that first step, it has to be CV. I wasn't even in Spain, so I was thinking like, how will I get this job without even like being able to come for the direct interview? So I started to work on my CV, so this is part of my personal experience, but also I wanted to tell you from 100 CVs that I see every day, what points you should make sure about, okay? Because I know that you know the structure, you know how CV looks like, it's obvious, but there are some things that from recruiters' point of view, I can see that they're not working or people are forgetting about, okay? So, first thing will be the cultural differences, because, well, let's say that I'm recruiting for Europe, for Spain, Germany, and France. And funny things are happening in CVs. Let's take as, well, of course, this candidate doesn't exist. I cannot put the personal data in this presentation. That, for example, German students are putting like father's and mother's occupation, which might seem quite weird. I don't know why, but this is the first cultural difference that I mentioned. Of course, like this candidate is already on the good position to applying if his father is a king, and his mother is a queen. Another difference that I can mention is, for example, with English students, which put their grades in CV, which sometimes makes CV look like 100 pages. So by this, I want to show you that actually applying to European country or in general, like it's better to keep the general patterns, okay, and to check it outside of the box a little bit, because also maybe in your country they teach you to do CV like this, and this, but it's good to check the examples of another countries as well, okay, just to not make these mistakes, because, well, later, me as a recruiter, I have a lot of fun by reading this, but for the serious job, it's better to make sure that, that the most important things are written in your CV and that they're in a good format. Okay. Another thing, which also Ludwig already has at the beginning of the presentation, is about like how to get in contact with you, because honestly, we can talk about experience, about brilliant profile with the languages, with the education, but I can say that for 100 students that are applying, I'm able to contact with 80% because they forgot the most essential things. So I know that you might know it, but just to make sure that that you don't miss some information in your CV, so later you can check everything. Because first of all is for me the contact details, like mobile number, because you don't even imagine how many students, they don't put the country code, which, well, let's say we're applying abroad. So I'm a recruiter and I'm not, well, I consider myself as a clever person, but, well, I don't know all the country codes. So, and also I don't know where you are exactly. So I had the cases that I was calling, like, for example, student who are German, and his grandmother was picking up the phone telling me that he's on Erasmus in Portugal on the beach right now and he cannot pick up the phone. So it makes a bad impression somehow. So it's better to make sure that if you're going to Erasmus or to another country, be sure that you change the number in your CV, okay? And the second thing would be with the email address. That also, well, in case of Ludwig, it's middle serious, because the best and the simplest thing is to put the name, point, sorry, the Spanish thing, point, surname, and that's all. Please don't make Princess 93 or something like this, because even if the CV is very serious, it doesn't make a good impression, okay? Then I would like to pass also through place of the residence. As we can see, this candidate is living in quite a huge castle, and he puts like all the details, but this is not the thing that recruiter is interested about. I don't care where you're living exactly, which street, especially if you're living in the weird neighborhood. It's better just to put the city, okay, and save this space in your CV for another very important things that sometimes it's better to change. So just write the city, and especially the city where you are now, because you don't even imagine how many people are coming to Barcelona looking for the internship, and in their CV they have their home address. So for me, of course, some jobs, they require the presence. So if I have a German speaker with the old address, I cannot ask him to come for the interview, so he loses his opportunity directly. So this is also very important. Next point will be about the birth date, which is quite, well, negotiable, I would say, because with the birthday you have to be careful. As I saw, like, people who are very mature and they're applying for internships, so in that case, well, of course, every person has the right to apply for the internship, but older you get, then weirder it's getting as well. So usually then it's better sometimes to avoid the age. And the same is about the cases, for example, when you're young and you have a lot of experience, sometimes the employer might think that, but he's so young, something is wrong, something is suspicious. So sometimes it's also better to avoid it. Later on, anyway, they will ask you probably. But then once you get the interview opportunity, you can defend yourself and present yourself better, which I will also tell you about later. And the last thing, just to pass it through, about how to get in touch with you and about personal data is about nationality, because this is crucial for the visa issues, for also for being here. So many people don't mention nationality, and sometimes it's very important to see, because with today's globalization we have people with Italian nationality who are native Germans, who are bilingual. Really, I met a lot of profiles, and the information about nationality became crucial for me, at least here in Europe with the migration laws and everything. Okay? So yeah, this is like the slide just to sum up. So contact details. Remember about the country code in the mobile phone, professional mail. Address, make sure that it's current, where you're living, even if you're in Erasmus. A date of birth, not necessarily what I would have done, because it depends on the position that you're applying for. And nationality. This is the thing that I forgot to mention about the visa status eventually. Okay, so there are some people who are outside of European Union, but they have visa status, working visa status, student visa status. It's important to mention that for the employer as well, because sometimes they might think that you don't have a visa and it will be a long process, it will be hard. So if you already have it, why not mention that, no, and make it easier for everybody. Okay, this is one point. I'm not sure if there are some questions, because I will do the question part after a small. Yes, the photo thing is, well, it's also very fragile, but with English CVs, I was at the beginning when I was working with English people, I was surprised because there are no photos at all. And I was thinking, why? I mean, English people are not ugly. I mean, they should present themselves. Yes, but yes, it's culture, but I think it's also by the law that they're not, like, due to discrimination, they wanted to avoid that, so they want everybody to have a chance. And in some point it helps, but if they're applying for countries like other European countries, we have to ask them for CV as well. So it's only making the process longer. At this point. Yes, yes, the professional photo, yes. Yes, of course, if it's not crucial, but really it makes CV more interesting even from the visual point of view. So yes, I will put the photo. Anything else that you'd like to ask regarding to contact details or something? No. Okay, because now I would like to pass to the experience and education, two more important things that I won't talk a lot about it, although I have to say that students or put too much of the experience or too less. From my point of view, it's good to have a work experience, and every professional experience is very important, even if you're a waiter or something like this, but depends on what you're applying. Sometimes it's better not to mention. I saw people mentioning a lot of every summer they're working as a waiter, so they're mentioning they're making their CV longer just to seems that it's more professional. Of course, if you're applying for the waiter position, it might be okay, but in some points of your professional CV, it's good to think about making it shorter, and for example, putting the seasonal work from 2001 till 2005, and that's all. So employer will know that you have this, that you are working from the beginning. It's also important because those works which you probably did, and I also did when I was 16, I was working as receptionist and everything, but I had to sum it up so the employer will know that, of course, I started to work very early, so this is the thing that you should appreciate, but later the most important things I underlined, and actually, for example, like this, or also from my professional experience, I mentioned already that I started almost from nothing, coming from Poland. I had 1 month experience in HR and no Spanish. So I just used that 1 month to develop all the tasks that I had, really, all the tasks, because I knew that I want to do HR. I underlined it very well in the CV, And somehow from 100 CVs, profiles like mine, because I wasn't nothing special, honestly, I got selected and I got the interview with IS Consulting, where I'm a leader now. So maybe seems simple, it's a small advice. Of course, you need some luck, but really like focusing on even the small experiences that can help you to get the job later is very important. And second thing is about education. Of course, we mentioned everything about the university, the faculty, this is important. But the thing that in this CV is characteristic that sometimes is missing is about specialization and the thesis, which students are forgetting about. Sometimes even studying something not necessarily connected. I was studying economy in Poland. Well, it's somehow connected with HR where I'm working now, but economy is international business, all these faculties, all these studies give you a lot of knowledge. But if you're specialized in something, then you have a better opportunity to get what you want. So my thesis was about HR, and I mentioned it somehow, luckily, in my CV, and it was also the thing that took the attention of IS Consulting recruitment for my profile. Okay, so this is also the thing. Thesis and the specialization. Okay. Whoop. It's not working. Where should I point? Where? Ah, okay. Second thing, or third, or fourth, languages. This is very funny part in the recruitment processes when we do that language test. And I have to say that, well, each nationality considers the level of languages differently. I mean, I can see, for example, I'm Polish, and like Polish people are quite, well, polite, so they usually prefer to put the lower, we are not so confident, so they prefer to put a bit lower level of language, so later the recruiter won't think that he's lying or something. But for example, French people, they consider sometimes like upper intermediate as well as being able to communicate in the shop. So there are tendencies, of course, I'm talking now in general, don't offend if you're French or if I mention any of nationalities here like this, but in general, people are different and level of languages also are different. That's why I recommend to use European level of languages, which is the general standard, which I'm not sure if you can see it or not, but like it's from A1, it's like elementary, so you can have like day-to-day activities. Then it grows from A2. B1, B2 is already like to be able, that you should be able to be to get internal communication in the company. Okay, if the company is asking for B1, B2, it means that they will probably give you the education in that language, and they need you to communicate with them. And C1, C2 is usually required, for example, for working with the clients in that language. Okay, so if the company is asking for B1, B2, it means that you want, well, it's mostly because they want to communicate with you. C1, C2 is because they want you to communicate with French clients. So the standards are getting higher. Also, my advice is to not put, like, if you know how to order the beer in some language, to not put it into your CV, because usually it's not useful. It's better to put really languages that you can speak, because, well, because the basic phrases like hola, ¿qué tal? Buenos días, this is the basic Spanish, but it doesn't change anything. I mean, this thing you can, I suppose that after 2 days here in Barcelona you already know. So better save this space in CV for another things. And next point is about events. Just like to remind you that I hope that all of you after this event will put the participation in Youth Global Forum to your CV. I will put personally, even that I was a speaker, so like probably you can put it on yourself, and also I've heard that you have to pick up the certificates after that, so like be sure that you prove that you came here, that you participated, because it's something that on top of education and work experience will make your profile looks more interesting. as well as the interests, which are also, as the birth date, for me it's also kind of fragile part for the recruiter, because it makes the CV more human for me always, to see the interests. Although, yes, the picking up the mushrooms, yes, this is the recent example. I had to quote it because I couldn't start laughing because of this student. So, of course, this is inappropriate a little bit for me, but more what I wanted to say you is about these hobbies like reading books, going to the cinema, meeting friends. I mean, we all like it, no? So, I think it's better to not put that if you. Well, I hope all of you have interesting things to do in your life, but this is not something very important, so we just ignore it as the recruiters. But on top of that, if you have experience in coding, in fashion, in sport, it also depends on what sector you would like to work, because maybe in HR I don't have the example, but sometimes I'm recruiting, for example, for marketing positions, and I also check hobbies, because company, for example, if it's a company who's producing sport products, they would like to have somebody who likes sports. So in that case, it's good to mention, especially like if there are some interesting sports, like a bit extra about you, then the company will look closer on your application. So interests, I would say yes or no, but you have to be careful with that, okay? Especially if you like picking up mushrooms. Yes. So just to sum up about the CV, remember to underline the best. Okay, the experience. Select what's the most important. Underline it very good, and other experiences try to maybe sum up. Education, include your specialization, and also. I forgot to mention that. That's why I have this sum up thing. I wanted also to mention about the country where you're studying. Okay, this is important if you did Erasmus or if you did all your studies abroad. I always like to see, for example, Polish students studying in other countries, because it means that you already have the international experience. Even though it was studying or work, doesn't matter. It means that you can pass the cultural difference. So it's already a plus for your application. Okay. Languages, use the standard levels, the European levels, and don't lie, because it will come out sooner or later. And with extras, remember to add information about the events and about the student activities that you had. And also be careful with your hobbies. Okay, whatever you do in your private time, remember that CV has to be professional but human. Okay, so. This is my advice regarding to this. Okay, so with this part about CV, I'm more or less done. I'm not sure if you have any questions or any doubts regarding to my comments. Yes.
Okay, I want to ask you, the Angulas, do they really have any specific reason as to why they need us to put the hobbies, or do you really? What exactly do you expect from our hobbies? Because personally, I would wish to put fishing as my hobby. Because I'm trying to imagine a fisherman with a fishing rod is going to the sea. He's not very sure if the fish is actually there, but he puts the fishing rod and waits.
Well, I would say that you would like to become a big fish in the future, with your career in a business. You know, the shark metaphor that we are using for a business shark, for students who are focused on their goal and they're always reaching that. No, I'm joking, of course.
So, so does it have to relate with what I'm doing, or it has just to be something abstract, different from what I am?
It depends on what you're applying. I mean, as I mentioned, hobbies are not the crucial thing, but you have to be careful. For example, fishing is already, well, it's not bad, neither well seen. I would say it's okay to put it, because later if you're applying for exact company or for exact sector, it's good to watch your hobbies and sometimes add or not to mention things. But if you're sending the general application, I consider fishing as like well interesting hobby. Probably means that you're patient. No.
Yeah, because I expect all entrepreneurs to be fishermen because they need the patience and they need to have the hope. You find sometimes the fish, maybe the fish have gone the other side to party and I'm here. I'm waiting for the fish and
Yes. No, then you should add it to your CV. I mean, it's definitely a good point.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anyone else?
I don't know if you'll come to this point, but sometimes like big organizations like UN and like INGOs, they often ask if you have any problem if the human HR inquires your current employer. So is it better to write yes or no in such cases?
I'm not sure if I understood your question.
Sometimes like big organizations like UN or some INGOs, they often have like their own formats like P11 form for the UN and like even PLAN and other INGOs have their own format. And there are like questions which ask you, the applicant, if they can make inquiry to your current employer. So is it better to write yes or no in that case? Because like no one wants to lose the job until and unless he gets the better one. So is it good to write yes or no in such cases? Like I always get confused in that, you know.
Well, for me, it's well. This question it really depends on your company when you're working for and what contact you have. If it's and also if it's NGO and if you want to join it as like additional thing in your free time, then it shouldn't be a problem for employer. Even more, the employer should be happy that wow, I have ambitious person working in my company, and on top of that they're doing something. So it will be only a plus. But if it corresponds with changing the employment without saying it to your current employment, well then you have to be careful. As even if it's NGO or if it's another job, like applying to another job while you're working in another, requires a lot of not intimacy. Although from recruiter points of view, I have to say that usually, at least ethical recruiters, when we see in your CV that you have to know what documents you need, how long would it take, and some extra if required. So with that one, if you have the interview with the employer and they will ask you about the visa, you can already defend yourself saying that yes, or no, I don't have a visa, but it takes half a year, I need just the invitation letter. So actually, when you accept me, I don't need a lot of you, I will handle that. I already know how it works. It really makes a crucial difference for the students outside of Europe. Like if you already know how to handle your application, how to handle your visa process. And for European citizens, it's usually not so problematic here, because for now we can move there and forward. The second thing will be about university requirements. For example, for Europe, for the internships at least, it's always required to have the internship agreement, which a lot of people, they don't know. And it's also the important thing to remember about, to confirm with your school. If you have mandatory internship, also confirm what documents your university will require. If it's not mandatory and you're applying for internship, I advise you from the beginning to ask your school, okay? Because if not, the recruiter will ask you. And the second thing, and the third thing, I'm sorry, is the labor law. Here, for sure, I will pass for the next slide because I wanted to tell you about example of Spain, about all the documents. So in case if somebody would like to come to Barcelona for the internship, then you already know. But from my story, for example, from labor law, I didn't know that in Spain, even I'm European, so I thought like, oof, it will be easy. But I came here and there's like a very famous Spanish NIE number, which is like ID for people from abroad here that Spain use it. Like in order to do everything, you cannot even rent a bike, you cannot open the Spanish account, even if you're European. So for me, it was already hard. And I remember I didn't speak Spanish. I came to international office, nobody spoke English. It was kind of stressful experience at the beginning, honestly. And of course, every day I had to wake up at 5 a.m. to stay in the line, now for sure, like fortunately Spain is going forward with electronic applications, but still, if I knew before when I came here about these things, if I would check the internet, if I wasn't so enthusiastic about coming to Barcelona and just coming here, because I didn't take in consideration few things, then I wouldn't have to wake up at 5 a.m. every morning. So this is the important thing for Spain, that you always be asked here, and also the social security number, which allows the employer to pay the taxes for you and be registered as a worker, because all the internships, at least for the one that I'm recruiting for, are legal. So employers are paying you, are paying the salary per month, and they have to pay taxes from that. So with NIE number and social security number, if you ever apply to Spain, then welcome to our bureaucracy world. These are two first things that you listen, at least for the first month. And of course, visa, internship agreements are the crucial things for the internships, if you need visa. And European health card, if you're European, then you have to do it for the health issues. If not, the students or the interns are always required to have the insurance for going abroad. Or at least I always recommend it, because many things happen. But, well, with that, keep optimistic. Okay, so in that part, I would like to ask if the documents are clear, or if anybody wants to ask something maybe in particular about the internships in Spain or in Barcelona, about the documents here, because I'm here to answer the questions if somebody wants to come to the internship, or everything is clear. No? In that part, no. Perfect. Well, in practice, it's much more complicated, I suppose. Okay, then the last point is once you get the internship, perfect. You pass the interview, you pass the CV, you're already here. You even have all your documents, so you can start your work. You can start working for the company, for you. What I noticed and what I wanted to mention in this presentation, which is also kind of part of unemployment, is that actually a lot of students that I recruit for internships are coming back to me. And I'm always glad, to have friends in the world, to meet them again, but it means that this internship didn't work out, or that the student didn't use the internship as he should, because for me the internship is like an entry job. So of course few internships are well made, but it's very important to use the internship once you have it as much as you can. And also that's what I did, because I was recruited for a 6-month internship and then I was supposed to finish. But, and even though if they wouldn't plan to hire me after all, I thought okay, I work on my personal brand. I have in HR, it's quite easy. I'm not sure, in other brands, in international relations, all of you are related, it's also very easy to write articles, to get the connections, to go to the events, to work on your LinkedIn, what more examples of mine I had? Well, a lot. Okay. There are a lot of things to do. It's very important to go outside of the box once you do the internship, because only, of course, company will tell you what to do, because they will be happy that you help them. That's all. But I consider that the interns who are really going outside of their comfort zone and doing all the best, even if you're not doing it for the company, you don't have to, you don't have to do so much even for them, but doing something for you, you will really also improve the things for the company, okay? So that's the most important thing for me, that if you don't want to pass all the recruitment processes, creating your CV, interviews, and all that, let's say for some people stressful situation, just be sure that once you get it, you use it, you use it the best as you can, okay? This is very important, even if it's 3-month internship or shorter. And that's what I did. That's why I wanted also to tell you the story about me as the young leader, because I used my internship, I got what I wanted. I was always thinking a bit outside of the box, so in age of 24 I became a leader of the department, which I'm happy till right now, okay? And that's all. I'm not sure, okay, I will do the resume, just to remember you, that we're talking about simple, clear CV with all the contact details which are important. about knowing what you want during the interview, so being, being focused, being self-confident, confirming your documents, because unfortunately nobody else will do it for you, even though employers are very friendly, and while you have the internship, work on your personal brand. Okay? So, yes, thank you for your attention. So I'm not sure
Any questions? Anyone? No? So we are done. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And see you on the gala.
All right, so we will be meeting at 6:30 in the entrance. So be there at 6:30 because we will leave.
Ale další den se ten druhý dá to rozsekal. No, na druhé se tak stál. Takže to dokážu. A další rok někomu ani nejde.